This episode brought to you by Williams Plumbing and Heating and Civil Construction. When your heat's out or your pipes are acting up, call the locals who've got your back. Emergency repairs, routine maintenance, or larger projects, Williams Plumbing and Heating has the most experienced, skilled trade folks in the region. We'll start talking then. We're at Story House Pictures in Missoula. This is a new 47-acre film and TV production campus made from what used to be a wood product site called Roseburg. And I'm with Sean Patrick Higgins. Thank you very much for being here, Sean.
Thanks, Joe.
Where you work. Thank you for being here and hosting us. Sean is the co-founder and CEO. He has an MFA from the Yale School of Drama, some acting cred.
Some street cred.
Yeah, you acted in New York,
Yeah.
and now here you are in Missoula, Montana, making movies.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, and it's definitely the long way around the barn to total creative agency, I guess is what we're heading towards. But I started acting on stage. I've done about 14 of Shakespeare's plays now, which is really where that's my lifeblood is. I'm a classically trained Yale nerd actor.
Shakespearean actor. That's
Exactly.
hardcore.
Yeah.
That's
So you go
real
from
deal.
that, and then you transfer those skills into, off Broadway and the New York theater sector, and then TV and film. And then when you feel those ceilings from the industry, as so many of us often do, I think it's interesting. It's really the industry. You can be overlooked. And there is an oversaturation in the major markets, and yet there's this huge crying need for independent artistry and independent voice and independent thought, and not sequels and remakes. And so,
For sure. Well, the ceilings are pretty high in here, and it is cold.
it is cold.
So
January in Montana.
We'll try to keep this moving as much as I can.
Sure.
But obviously, fully finished studio, correct? We're ready to go.
We've got a little bit of work ahead of us, right? So we just walked and talked part of that redevelopment plan in 4 phases and what we're going to be doing out here. But we did shoot our first feature film here this last fall,
Okay.
in October and November, and that was St. George, and we had a really good time doing it. So.
And you shot that here. This studio is 47 acres, so it's basically half the size of Warner Brothers. It is Warner Brother.
Singular.
Are you planning to crank out enough productions to justify the size?
Yeah, I think it's all a commercial real estate deal at the end of the day when you think about studio leasing and studio space. And so while we have 400,000 square feet under roof, almost 10 acres under roof, we've got enough power to power, half the city of Sheridan, Wyoming. We have the blessing of riches and space, right, in this unique 1960s barrel building. And within that, it takes about 3 productions a year to really cover, we'll call it the carry costs of the site.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And it even have a working rail
We do.
over here?
Yeah, we've got a working rail. So part of the phase 1A of the redevelopment, which right now we're in a refinance process for, so we can get that construction runway, we'll call it. And it's been a pretty interesting banking market with some of the changes in federal policies and different things going on in DC. We don't have to get into all that, but we have this working rail track that's serviced by BNSF. We'll put a green screen up back here, and we'll have the ability to drop some train cars in front of it, and that will be a standing set feature, which will be really unique. To my knowledge, the only one in the country
I've never seen it before.
that has that on a soundstage. We'll have another part of the phase 1A redevelopment along here on this pillared wall. We'll have that air-gapped standing set, which will be a functional standing set for the facade of that.
Okay.
And then you'll enter through. There'll be about a 12-foot hallway corridor for moving of golf carts and spaces and equipment and whatnot. And then on the other side of that will be stage 2, and that will be the noise-canceled, soundproofed area. Stage 2 right now is about 90,000 square feet, so huge, but as we go through that renovation plan, we'll chunk that up into 18,000 square foot boxes in a box is what we'll call it. And then we have stage 4 and stage 5, which we walked as well. And that's a 13,500 square foot space and a 15,000 square foot space. Workshops, lighting and grip storage, construction mill over in line 2, which we walked, and so all of that.
Impressive, staggering, the size of it, all the planning that's gone into it. The entertainment industry is unstable. We know this, he says with a weary sigh. How did you arrive at this realization that you basically have to couple it with a more stable industry in real estate to make it work?
Yeah, it's a great question. We aren't interested in the boom or bust hit-based economics of film, right? Super unstable industry. We can look at Hollywood on a bubble right now. We can look at the way that the bloat has affected the industry and really made it almost impossible for independent artists and independent film to survive. The big five and the studio conglomerates have continued to eat and merge and acquire other independent run studios, and we all sign up on huge work for hire agreements with buyout economics, right? So as we look at this, real estate became a viable asset-backed, trusted revenue model. And so Story House is a fully backed real estate investment. We're not soliciting investors in this podcast, but just have to say that disclaimers, et cetera, disclosures, blah, blah, blah. We'll send that all out. But in the way we're modeled is we're vertically integrated. And so we have the backbone of real estate with all the preferred equity opportunities of a traditional waterfall of a real estate deal. And then we have this uncapped upside of film and entertainment in this media manufacturing sector. And so when you take those two things together, we've de-risked film production in this vertically integrated model. I can't share more than that because there's a lot of secret sauce there.
But this is Story House Pictures, and there's also Story House Village in Sheridan, Wyoming, that is directly related to this business.
That's right. Yeah, so Story House Inc. is our C Corp. Story House Pictures Inc. is doing business as Story House Inc. That's the synonymous C Corp. That owns Story House Property Company, which is Story House Village, down in Sheridan, Wyoming. It's 240-acre real estate development with a focus of attainable, affordable housing for a ratio of what we're hoping to do down there. We'll share war stories about the brain damage of attempting to do attainable and workforce housing in the Mountain West markets. There's a lot of barriers of entry there. I know you're from Bozeman and Big Sky, and you have some of those challenges down there too. But very interested in housing, and really that comes from this film we did, Early Light, which focused on veterans and mental wellness and equine therapy. And that film that we shot in 2018-2019 in Sheridan really illuminated the veteran housing crisis in Sheridan County. And as we got more curious about that, we saw and learned that there were foster families living week to week in hotels. There was veterans living week to week in hotels. There were 7th grade school teachers teaching literary in the middle school in Sheridan, living in a long stay hotel. And so we just started asking, like, wow, what could we do? Because this is a solvable problem.
Yeah.
And so when we look at that as the problem we're trying to solve, and then film is just one of the ways that we're solving it, we're really that real estate focus as a company.
Okay. I like that your goal is to be a studio head and a real estate developer, which is a character that was like built in a lab to piss people off. But,
yeah, and especially one who's passionate about workforce housing.
Yeah. But you're accomplishing important goals, and I like that Story House Pictures is part of accomplishing that goal in Sheridan.
Yeah.
And it seems like long term you're also aiming to solve some of those same problems in Missoula.
That's right. Yeah, we've got the hope to do some multifamily here. We've got some buildable pads on this site within the 47 acres, and we are aware that we will have a job creation metric which will be stifled and could also create a retention of workforce here in Missoula, which of course will impact housing, right? And so if we're going to really grow mindfully, we need to also grow into the housing opportunities here in Missoula. And we've been working on that in partnership and in conversations, early stage conversations with the city and the county and MRA, Missoula Redevelopment Authority. We're really interested in what we can do to help housing here.
And jobs, I mean, I know in its heyday, this mill employed, over 400 people?
I don't think it was over, I'm not sure. I know that when they closed, there's about 170 jobs that went away overnight.
I guess I saw the number 435 was your goal.
That's our goal.
In terms of how many people you want to employ with Storyhouse Pictures.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yep. So we have the goal of 435 jobs over the course of 6 years. It's a growth plan, right? We've got to do some things right to get there. But with that, we do have that ability. And so growing into that mindfully over time, right, allows housing to keep pace. Us, doing some multifamily developments. We have a pad, like I was talking about, which we're hopeful for. I don't want to get rabbits out of the bag too early, but, we can cover a good portion of those jobs we plan to create with the housing we plan to put up. We're also sitting in an urban renewals district. Roseburg owns the other 200 plus acres that's beyond the berm, so to speak. That, in my understanding, is going to be a mixed use community with additional housing, and they're going through an entitlements process right now with the city and annexation, and a lot of that we are synergistic to that. I do believe our redevelopment efforts here help drive certain opportunities for that parcel, and we will also be interested in participating on that parcel with additional housing.
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly lift the whole area, you would think, for this to be a fully ticking studio.
I mean, you look at all the mill closures on the west side of the state in the last year. I heard a figure between the 3 different mill lumber closures and another mine that they lost close to 700 jobs.
Wow.
I don't know that actual number. It's not studied by me, but that was shared by one of the economic development officers, and I do believe that those sequential closings of lumber mills and the challenge of that industry that Western Montana has depended on so long, we need to find a pivot. And so media manufacturing ends up being a viable pivot. Average jobs are 87,000 a year. I mean, I could espouse all those things, but I'm sure Linwood's been on your podcast before.
And she has. We've talked about the Montana Media Coalition. You and I are both members of that. We successfully were able to extend the Media Act, our film tax incentive program, for another 20 years. We would love to get more funding as sort of a stopgap to get us to 2029. But talk a little bit about how that film tax incentive program is going to work hand in hand with what you're doing here.
Yeah. So first things first, that film tax and credit incentive program is in that backlog position to Paramount until 2029 or whatever it ends up being. Our financial models build with that in mind. We have a film fund that we're currently in a capitalization round for, and that gives us the ability to greenlight our own products.
Which, speaking as a film producer, I can tell you that's the major shortfall right now, and that's what's keeping Montana Productions from getting a green light, from going into principal photography, is a lack of funding.
Yeah, lack of funding, and right now, in part due to the lack of incentive in the state. There's some good tools in the state. The Big Sky Film Grant allowed us to go on St. George Film this year, which was huge and was our first feature in Montana, and I think we learned a lot about the local crew with that and the different opportunities and challenges of making film in Montana. The film fund, the way it will work is we'd take a certain percentage exposure in any of our film intellectual properties. We have a slate of 30 TV and film series. We're growing that slate. We'd like to help other Montanans make the films that they want. But and it's just a question of how that comes together, right?
Yeah.
So really interested. We've been getting a bunch of great scripts that we're super excited to continue to dive through. There's some projects with Ladder 5 Films, which we're excited about. I was mentioning Jenna Sorelli when we were just walking.
In Livingston.
Yeah, with Clara Boone, and she's put together a great project there. So really just how can we help support, even if we're not directly involved, is something we're interested in. And our network and connection throughout the industry, I think everyone's hungry right now for someone who can get a product made.
Yeah.
So
and all of Montana should be supporting this. It just means jobs for the state. So it's pretty black and white. Let's talk about distribution.
Yeah.
Is your goal to put the movies that you're making here into theaters, or are you sort of focused on making it to people's phones and home theaters?
I think it's an absolute travesty that we watch things on films right now. So I will respectfully
on your iPhone?
Disagree. Let's watch them how they're meant to be watched in theaters if possible. TV series, there will be a different distribution strategy for every intellectual property that we bring to be. And so depending on the feature film, depending on the television series, there are some things that would be right for a Max or HBO, for as long as Warner exists, to create that sort of venue. I prefer, or I really gravitate towards the weekly drops rather than 8 to 10 episodes straight to streaming. I think there's a communal habit and responsibility as viewers. The industry has changed that habit in the last decade, and so it still takes 6 to 9 months to make the thing, longer often, but just a television series principle and physical production, not mentioning post and everything else, and distribution and P&A, but those types of things are getting watched in 72 hours, right? Or a week of binge watching. And so while we have to acknowledge that that is where the market's gone, we are very interested in theatrical and in traditional television weekly drops and other things.
But Storyhouse will not have a distribution arm per se.
Not yet. We do have the gentleman who's joining us as our COO, James Brown Jr., who's James Brown III's father, used to be the head of content distribution for ESPN, helped lead the merger between ESPN, ABC, Disney from ESPN's desk, has been the EVP of content distribution for Revolt TV, and so we do have distribution strategy on our team. JB's one of our angel investors. He's hugely involved in the project, has been a dear mentor and senior advisor, and as we're going through St. George, that distribution strategy is playing out in real time.
Great.
And so we'll find those distribution partners someday. We'd love to grow into our own distribution.
Because making indie film profitable is a challenge.
It is.
I can tell you.
Yeah, I mean, you always have to keep in mind, like, what you're making, right? So where are you making it? Who are you inviting to make it with you? And who are you making it for? And I think that who you are making it for is the most important part of that equation, the audience. And we often lose sight of that in the actual putting together of the sausage. But the audience and the distribution strategy and everything we plan to do ultimately is to affect and sow change in the world and have those conversations ripple forward in living rooms and bedrooms. And, so all of that's part of the ethos of what we're after. And so we have to figure out how are those people getting it.
You have, is it a 5-phase plan?
Yeah, 4-phase plan.
4-phase plan. Mm-hmm. And, you walked me through it when we were looking at the renderings. It seems like you sort of start with these stages, these principal buildings, and then kind of work your way out.
Right.
Is the end goal, after 20 years of that, to be acquired by Netflix?
No. We have a really strong investor group, and I still control the majority of the company. And my goal is to position us for smart, strategic investors who have strong industry relationships and ties, and for us to control the majority of the company.
Nice. So at a time when everything is moving toward, the consolidation, you're going hard in the other direction.
I think people have to swim upstream, right? And so I think with that, rather than falling in with the status quo, right? Wyoming, Montana, this place is truly the frontier. I went to school at University of Wyoming. The idea that you can still carve your dream and make it work is incredible. I think this is one of the last tenets of the American dream, so to speak. And without getting too philosophical, emerging as an independent studio right now, while you have Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers for $80+ billion, and you have Amazon eating MGM and Culver City, and you have Netflix acquiring ABQ Studios and building a new studio conglomerate in New Jersey, and you have the roll-up of all these other smaller businesses by the big five, and now soon to be, probably the big three. It is such an important time for us to emerge as an independent studio and to champion artists and to create ownership for artists in the intellectual properties that they're bringing forward, and to not just fall into buyout economics.
When all of that is happening, when media landscape is in flux like it is, why does it make sense to be in a wood processing plant in Missoula, Montana?
Yeah, well, the old adage that I've always heard is that film needs places that are warm, safe, and dry. Enter stage left. We've got that.
Sometimes cold.
Sometimes cold. Yellowstone shot up at Bonner Log Yard for 5 years, and the spin-off series and whatnot, and they were successful on a 24,000 square foot cover set, and then they had all their other outdoor location-based sets, right? We'll do very much the same here. We just have 400,000 square feet cover set, and the different auxiliary and ancillary support services that go along with that.
I love the sideboards, and they will give us more movies like St. George, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me about St. George. What is it?
Yeah, St. George is a film that was done in partnership with National Down Syndrome Society. I worked on it for about 7 years with my dear friend, who's the writer, director, and leading actor in it, Andrew Pastides. It's a film about two brothers, really, and it's a story about family resilience and love and loss, and how you navigate grief through an irreverent, dark, comedic twist. And you really watch these two brothers work through these different issues in their family, and one just happens to have Down syndrome, played by Kevin Iannucci, who's a complete star. He was in the movie Champions with Woody Harrelson. He's a ray of light on set. Having him in Missoula for about 30 days was incredible this fall, and I'm really excited. We're in post-production for it right now.
That's great. Can we talk about AI?
Sure.
Really quick. So you're creative like myself, but you're also a business person at this point. Which industry jobs do you think should be automated?
Yeah, I believe I'm vehemently opposed to AI. There are people working on me in our group, in our C-suite team, in our investor group. I believe that AI serves a purpose for business organization, business admin, structuring, all the Excel spreadsheets that you don't want to do, the bookkeeping and accounting and all those other tasks, right? There is computer science, there's code, that stuff makes sense. When that stuff starts to bleed into the artistic, creative space, I have a personal sort of vitriolic response. Okay. But I'm much more of the sense of, I love that Lord of the Rings was done with miniatures, sets, and build-outs, and that they spent, 3 years hand weaving chain mail. I believe in that. Call me nostalgic, but I think that film is crafts, men and women and craftspeople, and that's where I would like to see our films go.
But you walked me around the facility, and we saw spaces for carpentry, and we saw spaces for set decoration and prop storage. We didn't see spaces for 100 people at computers busting out CGI graphics.
And it's
After
such an
Effects.
interesting conversation. It's like, look, there's a place for it. VFX, computer generated. I love Pixar and Ed Catmull, and Creativity Inc. is a book that I've read and reread and revisited. And I think that there is a place for that. We are listening to the industry and where it's headed. We are interested in creating real jobs for real people. There is rendering that has to happen in film. We don't have a planned rendering bay or service area for that computer rendering and post-production and animation film. I would love to learn more about it, because without knowing where it's headed, my instant response is an off-ramp. And there are people that are, the president of SAG-AFTRA there's a lot of conversations there.
Well, everything is changing right now, right?
Yeah.
It's a very fluid situation, so I don't blame you for not knowing exactly what's going to happen.
Cautiously optimistic that humans will, win out if we ever come to a humanoid versus a robot.
But you're okay with AI taking over the spreadsheets?
Yeah, take over the spreadsheets and take over the org charts. That's fine.
What are the challenges of being a studio in Missoula, Montana versus being in Hollywood?
Yeah.
And I know you're
lots of
addressing it
opportunities,
with
I'd
a lot of the
say.
space you have.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a concentration of the industry in LA, Georgia, and New York. That's completely undeniable. The talent that's there, the experiential learning, the way that you grow up in the jobs in sort of like a craftsman family, and those sources and skills are passed on generationally. We don't have that really in Montana. We have that in ranching and farming and agriculture. We have that. Roseburg was something. Kim Clark, our first employee, his son, Andrew Clark, also worked at the plant. His son's worked part-time for us through December and January. We're probably going to be hiring him here full-time. That's a generational job in lumber, right? And forest products. Film has that same opportunity. That's not yet here. And that's part of the brain drain and the challenges in the state.
But we can address it by training new personnel.
Training new personnel, having a lot of the folks that are getting trained at the great programs at UM and MSU in the media arts and their film and television programs, instead of those, 2,348 who left the state in the last 5 years in the brain drain, who studied film and television and media arts in the state, who are on the first plane out. I mean, that's something that we should be looking at, is how do we retain that youth and create career pathways for those.
And I know you're a big believer in not only the students staying here, but also training vets, training indigenous communities, and providing some work to communities that don't necessarily have it right now.
Yeah, my father's Green Beret in Vietnam. I think creating career pathways for those folks, mission-based reasons to get out of bed in the morning, is important. I think for the tribal members as well, a lot of those folks who have not had the opportunity or not even exposed to what it could be to be a storyteller in film. And there's a huge skill set there with some of the folks that have worked on different projects with us already. We had Amanda Bear Madison taking photos at ribbon cutting, and Bear has worked with Yellowstone in 1923 and went through Linwood's PA course and is a success story. Derek Sorrell. There's all these other folks here who you all have probably worked with who are incredibly impressive, and so why not,
Heart's in the right place here in Storyhouse. All right, we're getting to the horseplay element of the interview now.
Okay.
Thank you for playing ball so far. Now it gets fun. So we're Storyhouse is putting the wood in Hollywood here at our
nice
wood plant. All of these questions have to do with wood products in iconic productions.
Oh, wow.
All right.
I'm going to fail.
No, you're going to do great. It starts off easy, gets really hard.
Okay.
All right. What gets waxed on and waxed off in Karate Kid?
Is it a Cadillac? It's the old wood-sided vehicle by
It is
Mr.
not.
Miyagi.
It
No?
is Mr. Miyagi's wooden fence.
Wooden fence. Oh no.
Daniel waxes on,
Man,
waxes off
that's
the
a
wooden
classic
fence.
failure. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
How about this? Citizen Kane has a wooden sled named Rosebud. What happens to it at the end of the movie? Long sip of coffee.
Yeah, that's you're gonna have to help me with that
I don't
one.
think I knew this. I'm sure I did at one point.
I've seen Citizen Kane.
It gets destroyed in a furnace.
Okay.
I feel like right as
I was gonna say burned, but then that was
Yes.
a total guess.
Right
so.
as the audience learns the meaning of the word rosebud, his
Then it's
childhood sled goes into the
goes
furnace.
into fire.
All right.
Yeah.
More wood questions.
Gosh, I should just go with the
Let's
gut.
keep going.
you
How
know?
about this one? I love this one. What is the name of Robert Redford's wooden bat in The Natural?
I don't know that.
Have you ever seen that?
I don't think I've seen The
Oh,
Natural.
you gotta see The Natural.
I've seen
It's
The
so good.
Sting. Great film.
He
But-
plays baseball, and his bat is named Wonder Boy. I'm not going to tell you anything else
Yeah.
about the movie because you need to watch it.
need to watch that.
All right. Now they get
I'm
hard.
over 3 right now. I'm just waiting for Woody. Like, I'll knock that one out
It's
of the park.
because you're
but
so focused on turning this space into a studio.
The watch list is embarrassingly long right now.
I don't know that I knew this one. What type of wood is Pinocchio made from
Mahogany?
in the story, in the Disney classic? Pine.
Pine.
He is
Yeah.
a pine puppet. Pinocchio in Italian means little pine eye.
Little pine. Yeah. Should have gone with
Yeah,
the root.
pine makes
Italian.
sense, but like I was saying, they get harder. All right, and
That's actually not that hard.
what? And this is not about wood, but what gets fed into a wood chipper in Fargo?
Is it a who gets
It
fed?
is a who.
Yeah. I'm like racking my brain. I'm like, okay, I don't remember the name of the character, but it's a who.
Carl Showalter.
Carl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
the answer right. Played by Steve Buscemi.
1 of 5. Look, that's an awful batting percentage if we're gonna go back to The Natural. That's like what we're batting 200 on that. So
It's all right because you're doing the important answers here.
Thanks.
When you're figuring out
yeah,
how to turn
really lift me up there, Joe.
this
it's good.
incredible space. Thank you so much for doing the chat with me here in this space. It is remarkable. I can't wait to come back and just kind of monitor your progress and see how it comes along. This
Yeah.
is so fun.
We'd love to have you and Michael back, and it'd be good to do a follow-up when either we're in the next production or, going through everything else.
Perfect.
So,
We'll take you up on it.
Great.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Sean, back to work now for
yeah,
you.
that's the plan. Thanks, Joe.
Get those hand warmers.
What?
Car, you got it right.
Wait,
It
was
is
it
a
not
car?
The fence?
No, the fence was paint the fence.
Paint the fence.
Wax on, wax off is the car, and then paint the house.
Okay, okay.
Wait.
No, we'll drop an edit note in there or something.
No, I mean, I think we can just cut this right in. Michael
Oh, you think so?
corrected me. No, I can talk into this.
Oh, is
camera,
this one
that's
still
fine.
on? Yeah.
Michael
Boom.
corrected me. The fence was, what is it? Paint the fence.
Paint the fence, wax on, wax off the cart. See,
All right.
I think it's a wood-sided Cadillac. I don't think it's wood-sided, but maybe,
The horseplay is not infallible.
There we
okay?
go.
Always.
Batting 400 is pretty respectful.
and
2 of 5 is not bad.
that may have sent you into a tailspin there, and the whole
I
rest
panicked.
of the thing.
Yeah, we'll blame that. I could have gotten Rosebud. I could have. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.